Hello, everybody, and good evening from here with us in Ontario. My name is Neru Padmanabhan, and we are live with Prianca Naik on our platform again. And we are a nonprofit based out of Ontario, Canada, and we love bringing you unique webinars, roundtables, interviews, and different types of discussion to open your mind. We are a nonprofit organization and we work to help individuals make their lives better in so many ways. We're here to serve the public and help the most vulnerable in society, whether they're individuals, businesses, or corporations, or anybody. Everybody needs some type of assistance, and we're here to present a wide range of ways of healing. We believe there's more than one way to heal. And before I go ahead, I should introduce myself. Again, my name is Neru Padmanabhan. I always forget to introduce myself, and I always get to go back, and I'm always told you didn't introduce yourself. My profession is as a mental health professional, and I'm also a financial professional as well. I love helping in both of those fields to help individuals secure their life in so many different ways. And today we have Dr. Prianca Naik with us, teaching us a different way to heal. So normally I love doing bios. I love reading out information about individuals, but this time I'm actually going to ask the question. Can you introduce yourself, Priyanka, and can you tell us why you're not really doing medicine anymore and why you're doing what you do now? So take it away.
Okay, sounds good. So yes, I am Priyanka. I'm a board certified internal medicine physician, as well as a certified life coach. I live on Long Island, New York, with my husband, Milan, my 3-year-old son, Stalin, and I have a newborn daughter who's 2.5 months. Her name is Suri. And just a little bit about my journey. I always knew that there was something larger I wanted to do right off the bat when I entered medicine. And I always want to have a positive effect on the world. I just didn't know what it was. So I still work as a physician a few days a month, but much less. When I became a mother, it really made me evaluate my life in a whole different way. I had been stressed out, overwhelmed all the time, and I functioned like that. I was a highly functioning, stressed out, burned out person. And I found myself really struggling when I would come home to give my best self to my child. And I realized that this high strung, stressed way of living just wasn't the kind of atmosphere I wanted to have for another human being that I'm in charge of. So I knew I had to do something. And, I basically I was in the depths of despair one night, just totally kind of bugging out about what I was doing with him or whatever it was, desperate for help. And so I started Googling, how can I be less stressed? What can I do? And I found this stress support group for very highly functioning individuals like doctors, lawyers, etc. I joined. One of the caveats of that was we had to meditate. So I started doing that, and that completely transformed my life. And also, I started talking to a career coach just to figure out if there was anything else I could do, because I felt like there had to be something else outside of medicine. I started doing life coaching, and that was what really, truly changed the way I lived my life. So I started feeling so much more well, happy. I got to the point where I really felt like no matter what came my way, I could be okay. I could be like I didn't have to be in that place where I was drowning anymore. And I really felt like, and I do feel like I have complete control over my life experience and what I'm doing. And I think it's so important to help others realize that they can do the same. And it's really just realizing we have that power within us and tapping into it through actually very small shifts we can make that have a larger impact on our life. So that's kind of what brought me to coaching specifically.
So that is absolutely amazing as you teach our audience, or sorry, tell our audience about that. And thank you for, normally I never make anybody do their bio, but I just find the story so interesting for all our audience who often think that healing is black and white and healing only has to do with one way of how you believe life is supposed to be. And healing has to is can be in so many different ways. And Priyanka, although she's a doctor, although she's educated in all of those things, she decided for herself that she's going to take up meditation. She's going to take up life coaching and all the skills that come along with it. So we tell our audience, look into different ways of healing. Know that there's more than one way. And we've asked Priyanka today to speak about a very, very specific topic. It's only one of her repertoires of one of the many things that she helps her clients with. So take it away, Priyanka. Share your PowerPoint presentation with us and take it away.
Awesome. I also wanted to encourage you guys to comment or put yourselves in the comments, introduce yourselves. Where are you from? What is your greatest struggle right now? And how would you like to feel? Maybe it's something that a feeling that you want that you feel like you can't have. So I'd love to know that. And then we can maybe talk about that at the end. All right, here we go. So today I'm going to talk about this is the title of this is Design Your Life, How to Be Present in Parenting and Your Life. So this really is a topic that is near and dear to my heart. Really practicing mindfulness in our everyday life, which allows us to be present and really take in and soak in our lives and increase our happiness. And I think a lot of us really feel like life is happening to us. But the truth is that we're actually living it and we have the power to design it exactly as we want. So a lot of people think, if I'm smart and I'm successful, why am I not happy? Because being intelligent, working hard, let's say making a lot of money, we're supposed to get happiness through that. And yet many of ourselves find ourselves, dissatisfied. So common myths about being happy. We think, okay, well, if my kids are happy, then I'm going to be happy. If I make more and more money, then I'll be happy. If I work my way up the ladder and I do well at work, I'll be happy then. Or I'll be happy if I'm thin or I lose those extra 10 pounds. I know I'll be happy then. But really, being happy and being content is something we have to find now. It's not going to necessarily happen later on when XYZ happens. So a lot of my clients who are physicians / working professional women / parents, they experience, what are their woes? We've got burnout, depression and anxiety, feeling stressed out all the time, like you're drowning, you want to tear your hair out, to-do lists that keep getting longer and longer. And we put the work in and we keep trying to check off the boxes on the to-do list, and yet it just keeps getting longer. Worsening mental load. So this means we have mental loads of what's going on at work. There are certain tasks that need to be done. For physicians, completing their notes from the day can be really stressful. It takes a long time. Or a worsening mental load at home. For me, I find it overwhelming the little tasks that need to get done sometimes, specific things that my children may need, or the grocery list, etc. These really can add on to the load that we're carrying. Another issue that causes a lot of distress for people is really ruminating and having their brains, I like to call them, a friend actually of mine called them brainados, where your brain is kind of like a tornado swirling around and really getting sucked into your thoughts. And oftentimes we end up spending a lot of unnecessary energy on something called catastrophizing, where we think about the worst case scenario and we might replay this in our heads again and again and again, wondering, oh, is this going to happen? I'm just kind of assuming this. All the while, if you think about that time in your life when that might have happened to you, I know when my son came home from daycare with a 103 fever a couple of years ago, I felt like I just felt like I was out of my body, going to lose my mind, wondering like, oh my God, is he going to die from this? And of course he didn't. So, we worry about these worst case scenarios, replay them in our minds, and end up really exhausting ourselves when that usually doesn't even happen. And so you end up wasting this mental energy and time. And that really pulls us away from being present and living in the present moment. So solutions for this, of course, we talk about self-care, working out, meditation, therapy, coaching. And of course, I'm a big proponent of coaching because I am a coach, but really coaching allows us to understand our relationship with our thoughts and our feelings and how that really affects and influences our life experience, etc. So there's a lot of power in coaching and also just getting you the results that you want from knowing that information and being able to work with it. So, I talk about being present, and really essentially being present is being mindful. Because when you're mindful, you're tethering yourself to the present moment and being aware. So mindfulness is essentially our ability to be present, aware of where we are, what we're doing, and not necessarily overreact or become overwhelmed by what's going on around us. So I just wanted to take a second. We won't make this too long, but I wanted to do a quick meditation. If you're watching this, you can look down or close your eyes and you take a few deep breaths. You count to 7 or 8 as you inhale and do the same as you exhale. And again, you can inhale and exhale. And as you do so, you can feel yourself relax. And really feel your body, that there is a body. And you can feel the points of contact where you're sitting on a chair or your feet are touching the floor. Feel that, and you can feel grounded. And as you do that, you can focus on your breath. Maybe your chest or your belly is rising. And you could say to yourself, rising as you inhale and falling as you exhale. What you'll notice as you focus on your breath is that your mind will wander. And as it wanders, you may notice. And as soon as you notice, you gently bring yourself back to the breath. And as you focus on the breath, you can count to 10 and then start again with 1. You can have a mantra. I say here and now. And when you notice your mind wander, you gently bring yourself back to your breathing. And if your mind is wandering completely, you can just remind yourself there is a body and bring yourself back to that. And now feel free to bring yourself back to your room or your space. So the point of this mindfulness exercise is to walk us through a very brief meditation. You can get more specific with it. You can do a body scan. Headspace is actually a great starter app. I used that when I was first learning to meditate. They have 10 free sessions in the basics just to teach you how to do it. And the reason I bring about this exercise is because it's so useful in implementing in our everyday lives this kind of practice to really be present with our life's experience. Also, people often meditate wanting to clear their minds, and they don't want to be thinking or really have a clean slate in their brain, and that's nearly impossible. The brain, as we know, it thinks, and it's just always working. So the idea is that we notice what we're thinking, or we notice what we're feeling, or we feel it in our bodies and increase our mind-body connection. And then we bring ourselves back to our body, back to breathing. And that brings us back to solid ground and gives us a nice anchor to the present moment. So mindfulness meditation is really a time when we can suspend judgment and really approach ourselves with curiosity. And this curiosity really helps us be compassionate with ourselves, kind to ourselves, and of course, eventually kind to other people. For example, if you feel triggered by something and it makes you feel stressed or anxious, before I started meditating, I would think to myself, oh, why do I feel this way? Why do I feel anxious? I don't want to feel this way. And I might judge myself, like, why do you feel like this? And instead of that, I might now, with a mindful approach, think, okay, well, I feel a little bit of tightening in my throat. I feel a little bit of heaviness on my chest. I'm noticing it. Maybe I was triggered because of something that has happened in my past. And that's okay. This feeling is going to come, it's going to go, and I'm fine. And you notice the distinction between those two different forms of self-talk. One is judgmental towards yourself, and then the other, you're really able to approach yourself with wonder, kindness, curiosity. So I really like this quote. This I got from, I was listening to a talk with Oprah and Deepak Chopra, and he says, as soon as you're aware, you're not in the moment, you're in the moment. So as soon as you actually are awareness of your thoughts or what's happening, that's when you are mindful and you're present. Very simple, not easy to do, but very true to help you in your mindful/present experience. So some of the benefits of mindfulness I want to mention, just because you're probably wondering, like, what will this do for me? So it can help with sleep. It can help us with focus, concentration, memory. It helps in our physical health, managing pain. It also can help improve our sense of self, empathy. It really improves our relationship with ourselves because we're able to be with ourselves, and hence our relationship with others. It's also been shown to lower blood pressure, improving cognition, which can also help in Alzheimer's disease. It's been shown to reduce dementia in people who practice for long periods of time, for like a long time in their life. It also helps us decrease reactivity, because by focusing on the breath and our bodies, we're able to create distance between ourselves and our thoughts and our feelings. So then we're not as reactive. It's very useful when we're feeling upset. So as I said, it helps in reducing anxiety, depression, because we're really able to get distance from our thoughts and our feelings. It helps you focus, reduces distractions, helps in our physical health. It improves our life's experience because we're really present when we're mindful, we're present and living in the present moment. So we're really taking hold of our lives. It deepens, of course, our relationship with ourselves through our mind-body connection and understanding experience, as well as others. Okay, so I just wanted to talk about some tools for mindful living, because I think this is really useful. So as I talked about, really noticing, you notice what's around you. So let's say you're on a walk. These are things that we just take for granted. Noticing the trees, noticing the sky, noticing the breeze on your skin, the sunshine on your face. Really taking these in can help us be in the moment, and it's really just good for you. It's good for your mind, body, and soul. When you're really upset, if you're, let's say, in an argument and you're about to lose your temper, something that's really useful is looking outside of yourself, looking at the room, noticing the painting. I can look at that painting and think about the time when I bought it, where I was, the meaning behind it. Surveying the room, maybe I might see a picture of myself on vacation, and that brings me back to that time. And it really helps to pull ourselves out of our own emotion, and hence we can be less reactive. We can notice what's going on inside of us. We feel urges, or we feel reactive. Maybe we feel stressed. We feel that tightening in the throat or pressure in the chest. And we can really just sit with that, notice it. And I think the more we notice it and really allow those negative feelings in, we can feel them in our body. And because we do that, we're not resisting them as much. And the resistance in our lives is really what causes us the most amount of suffering. So the more we can let those negative feelings in and sit with them, then we notice that they're not truly harming us. They're just uncomfortable. Sit with the discomfort and let it go. It'll come and it'll go. And that can help give us peace of mind. Listening. So, everyone just wants to be heard. That's just a human experience. We want to tell people our stories. So if you can just sit there, provide space, coaches are really good at this, provide space to listen to somebody and what they have to say, then you are being in the present moment and being there for them and deepening your relationship with them just through listening, or listening to what's happening around you. Do you hear the birds chirping? Do you hear the sound of, let's say, the breeze outside? And that helps bring you to the present moment. Another tip, which is helpful, Gretchen Rubin wrote this book called Outer Order and Inner Calm, because creating outer order really helps us to be calm on the inside. Having less things, or being a little bit more minimalistic, simplifying things, it helps us to be more mindful because there's less clutter. It's less distracting, and we can really hone in on our experience without getting distracted with physical things, etc. Letting go and acceptance. There's a book called Letting Go by David Hawkins. I've probably read half of it. It's a little dry for my taste, but what he talks about in the process of letting go is being able to be mindful and really sit with feelings and then let them go. Also, being mindful in our current life's experience really helps us to let go, because holding on to grudges requires a lot of energy, brain space, and if we're able to tether ourselves to the present moment, we really can't hold on to the noxious things that we might want to let go of. Accepting things as they are, whatever they might be, that decreases our resistance and hence our suffering, and allows us to be more mindful and at peace. And of course, as I said before, curiosity, really approaching ourselves with curiosity instead of judgment and having all those the negative self-talk that so many of us type A people are used to. So how do we do this? One way that I mentioned, we can really breathe, taking a few long, deep breaths, let's say 3 or 4 long, deep breaths in a moment will really give you peace and bring you to the present moment. Oftentimes throughout the day, if I feel my mind wandering, I might even say to myself, there is a body, and I notice where I'm sitting or the contact my feet have with the floor. And that also tethers me and centers me to the present moment. Technology, that's something, especially our phones, they really suck us in, and it's the opposite of being mindful when you're scrolling on your phone. And I actually think it also causes almost a little bit of anxiety and stress, just constantly scrolling and opening this app and that app. So I tell my clients to, when they wake up in the morning, one of the best and easiest things to do is you set an intention for the day. For example, you can say, I'm going to have a peaceful day today, or I choose to be laughing today. Whatever your intention is, you set that intention, and then you give yourself 10 or 15 minutes before you actually get sucked into checking your email, scrolling on Instagram, social media, the news, all these things that get your brain just going. Give yourself a little bit of time to have some peace and quiet, and that really can start your day on the right foot with especially being mindful at that early time in the morning. Another useful tool is setting aside time for tasks or planning or worrying. Worrying, all these things, they take up so much of our brain space when we could be interacting with people or doing something meaningful. So a lot of times for worrying, for example, you can have a notebook on your nightstand or a sheet of paper and take 5 minutes to write all your worries down and purge them before you go to sleep. Also, you could set aside time for meal planning, grocery planning, and make it a finite amount of time. That way it's not interfering with your life's experience. So mindfulness and parenting. The reason I wanted to talk about this today is a lot of my clients struggle with feeling like they're not spending enough time with their children. So they're dissatisfied, they feel guilt all the time because many people, most of us work full time. And then a lot of times we have things we might want to do for ourselves, like work out or meet up with people or, go and get your hair cut, whatever it might be. It pulls us away from our children. And then we feel terrible, like we're not doing a good job. How do we deal with this? The way that we can combat this is through mindfulness when we parent and truly increasing the quality of the time we have as opposed to the quantity. Because I think we put a lot of value in the amount of time we're spending with our children, when truly what we need to be doing is maximizing the little amount of time that we do have, really being present so that it's meaningful, the interactions that we have with them. So what are some things we can do when we're mindfully parenting? You can notice your own feelings and what's going on when you're not feeling centered, especially if you're in conflict with your child. So just noticing, like we talked about in the mindful living, you notice how you're feeling and maybe use one of those tools like breathing or noticing your body and center yourself to that moment. And that really allows you to pause. So you hit your inner pause button with the mindfulness and you're able to not necessarily respond or react. Especially, I have a toddler, so I know how that can be. Sometimes when they're having tantrums, let's say you're sleep deprived, you're having a tough day, maybe you want to scream. There have been moments, especially in the potty training moments, when I honestly want to scream when my toddler has pooped his pants. And, I'm able to just breathe, feel myself being upset, feel where it is in my body, take it in, sit with it, and it kind of dissipates before I have the chance to let it out loud. Also, being mindful, being present, really listening to our children, what they think, what they want to say. Maybe we don't agree with it, but we want to hold space to really listen and connect with them. And that allows us to be mindful, helping the quality of our relationship with our children. So how is this helping being mindful in parenting? You're going to be more aware of your thoughts and feelings. You're going to be more in tune with what's going on with your children's needs, thoughts, personalities, being able to regulate your emotions. Also, when we're mindful, we approach ourselves with curiosity. We're less critical of ourselves. And of course, then we're going to approach our children with curiosity, be less critical of them. We're able with mindfulness to pause and also just get ourselves some distance from our feelings and emotions that can be overpowering. And with that distance, we can kind of sit back from situations and avoid being impulsive and be more even keel with our children. And of course, by being mindful and being present, we're going to have a better quality of relationship with our child because they notice that we're there. We're not on our phone while they're playing or etc. So people ask, how can I do this? So you could set whatever arbitrary rule for yourself. Every time my kid asks me to play, even if it's for a few minutes, I'm going to do that, right? That could be your rule. At least do it the majority of the time. You could do 10 minutes with each child. So I could say to my 3-year-old, okay, this is Stellan and mommy time, this specific time. What would you like to do? What would you like to play? And be here. And I put my technology away for this moment. And I'm really present and there as best as I can be. Or especially I think when the kids are older, you can do specific special activities with each child on a monthly basis. So take half a day off from work or on the weekend. If there isn't an extracurricular activity, you could go to a museum or you could, have a special dinner with them or cook with them. There are all kinds of things we can do with them. I've also noticed that a lot of times myself and my clients, when we're doing the bedtime routine, when we're reading a story, my mind will be wandering and I will tell myself there is a body, and I start breathing and I say to myself, here and now, and I will say here and now until I find myself coming back to the present moment and not planning tomorrow's meal or grocery or thinking about work, but really being there while I'm reading to my child. Because as we know, kids grow up so fast in the blink of an eye, and those moments when they want you to read a story, they're going to be gone eventually. So just trying to be there as much as we can. Also realizing that I think bedtime, especially, sometimes you just want your kid to go to bed, the little ones especially, so you can just have some quiet time to yourself. And we tend to exaggerate it, thinking, oh, it's going to be so long, but really it's usually 10, 15 minutes tops of dilly-dallying. And if you can just kind of breathe through that and realize that, then you can also bring yourself back to the present moment and be there with them for whatever it is, instead of worrying about like your mind wandering and worrying about when are they going to actually get to bed. And finally, of course, where do we bring in mindfulness? And we've got coaching, which is what I do. So this is sort of how it works. You know where you are, you learn, then you make decisions and you take action. You see the results and what's going on. That's where you want to be. And as you get the results you want, or maybe you get results you don't want, you evaluate, keep coaching yourself, get help with your coach, and then you grow and manage your mind. In mind management, it's where you understand your thoughts and how they affect your feelings, and hence your life's experiences and results. And then you can use mindfulness as well in this process to get your distance from your thoughts and feelings, so that you can actually see what's going on in your head as opposed to being one with them. And that's pretty much the end of my chat. You can find me on stresscleansemd.com and on social media, Prianca Naik Patel, Stress Cleanse MD on Instagram and on LinkedIn. To get in touch with me if you want to coach, or you find this interesting, or if you just want to chat further. I love nerding out on mindfulness, anything meditation related, wellness, stress management, really designing that life that you want for yourself, how we take hold of our lives through mindfulness, through coaching, and not have our lives happening to us, because it is so precious. So thanks so much for tuning in. And if you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Yeah, there's a few questions. So if you wanna take the PPT down, and then I'll ask the questions. It was absolutely amazing, Prianca. As you were doing your slides, I was taking notes. I was taking pictures of your slides. But absolutely amazing information. Thank you so much for sharing all of that with us. And everybody, just to remind you, Priyanka's repertoire and her skill level is so big, and it's so wide ranging. We asked her specifically to speak about parenting and mindful parenting because we had a parenting roundtable a few months back, and a lot of it came out was mom guilt. So I love the fact that you mentioned catastrophizing, being present in that moment. So not thinking about like, oh, I'm not spending enough time, but saying, hey, I have a half an hour, and I'm going to make the most of this half an hour, and I'm going to make it absolutely beautiful. And as you run into not only women, but also high powered men, high powered women, or individuals who run a busy schedule, that's often the thing. I'm not giving my child enough time. So if it was one tip that you could give them, I know you gave them so many. What is the one tip that you can give them for taking care of themselves and that mindset, and how they have that guilt upon themselves?
Yes. So parent guilt, mom guilt especially, is inherent. We're never going to get rid of it. But one thing is just knowing it's always there, and realizing that when you do take the time to do something for yourself, you're making yourself well, and that way you have more patience with your kids. You're going to be better off that way. Because I find that if there are times when I cannot fit in my usual activities or self-care, I find myself wanting to snap or being impatient, and that's not who I want to be. And as I take care of myself, then I'm much more peaceful and the kind of parent that I want to be, and a better parent for my children.
And I also love the fact that you mentioned being more intentional. So with what you're doing, especially in those moments that you're frustrated, take a second, and just breathe it out. Say, okay, set an intention, move forward with it. I know you and I had a lot of previous conversations. I also follow Priyanka on Instagram. She has amazing tidbit videos there, and you talk about living your life with a lot of intention, and setting those intentions right in the morning when you wake up. A lot of people think that involves so much time. As busy as you are, as so many things that you have to do, how much time does this stuff really take in a busy person's schedule?
Not much time. That's the thing. You can literally, the intention you can set, even do a little bit of gratitude practice in your head. You don't even have to, I don't even write stuff down because I think it creates too much pressure. So just to make it as easy as possible, you just think these things in your mind, and it would take you all of not even 5 minutes less. So we all have that amount of time, I'm sure. You could do it when you're showering.
Yeah, and one of the things that I love that you always talk about, and I'm mentioning things that you've done in your previous videos and thing, is when you're doing mundane tasks, and these are things that we've said to our clientele when you're doing your mundane tasks. So I love, like, if you're showering, if you're cooking, if you're having your morning cup of Java, these are the times to say, hey, like, these are my gratitude statements. This is a time to just breathe and enjoy that sip of coffee. I know you love to do morning walks,
Yes.
or just a walk in the middle of the day if you can grab full 5 minutes. And I know you like to do some of your videos when you do that. So describe that process to individuals where you take that 5 minutes and it's worth entire days of relaxation. So how do you do it? I think people can learn so much from an individual like yourself. You're a brand new mom, you're still a doctor, and you run your own practice in terms of life coaching, your own business, and you do so many other things on the side. So how do you take those 5 minutes and maximize them?
Yeah, so a little goes a long way, and finding something that's already in your routine, like tea, coffee, whatever it might be. Most of us have to eat and drink something in the morning when we wake up. I guess maybe some people don't, but you find, and then you can tether some sort of routine to that. So if you're like, for me, and this was even before I knew about the coaching, but like enjoying my morning cup of coffee was so intense that when I go on vacation, I struggle because the coffee's not necessarily to my liking exactly the way I like, and I just like the experience of it. It's not about the actual coffee, but just my coffee experience sets my day off on the right foot. Like if there's no coffee, then I don't feel like I get that time to just kind of relax, but enjoying the flavor, the taste, whatever. Like if you're able to actually like take your coffee, and you live in a decent climate, or you go outside for a few minutes while you drink the coffee and really just feel the breeze. I think nature can also do wonders. So just finding little things in that short amount of time, taking it in. It's really about creating the experience that you want, because we all have that power to do that when we often just feel helpless. Similarly, if I just like to be in the shower and I feel the water on my face and I think, oh my God, like this feels so good. It's just feel the water like on me in the shower, or I'm grateful for this hot water. Like this is a really nice shower. And it's something we all take for granted. But if you can actually just soak in the mundane things that are happening in your day, you end up just seeing things very differently. Like you can't really be a Scrooge when you're, experiencing all these great things that are really easy to experience.
I agree with you 100%. And not only with your morning cup of coffee, it's chai tea for me. And if it's not done right, like I'm just like, it wasn't right. And when I go on vacation, I totally get what you mean. I take my chai tea spice with me. And yeah, my husband's like, it looks like hash. So he's like, put it away, put it away. And so I totally get what you mean. There's the little things that we enjoy and love, and we carry them forward. They're a part of our routine. But if we just can turn around and say, I'm so grateful for this. And so for Priyanka, again, we're going back to you almost like a case study. So we're going to say, like, from the time that you started these practices, to not even say now, but when did it really start to make impactful difference? When did it start? When did you start feeling and seeing that change from the time that you started it?
The mindfulness, I think, was my first part of this journey, the meditation, and that I probably did for a couple of months before I really, which isn't that long, before I started understanding that the whole purpose of it was to not try, because a lot of people try and zen out, relax when they meditate, which it does do that, but realizing that I could apply that to the rest of my life, like throughout the day, try to be mindful. And that happened fairly early on. And then as I learned to coach and about coaching and understood the relationship between my thoughts, that I can actually choose to think whatever I want, and that was affecting my experience, putting that together with the distance I had from my thoughts through the meditation and mindfulness, then that kind of came together probably like 9 months into it, 9 months to a year.
Hmm. Definitely. And thank you for being so transparent with those timelines, for helping people understand that um, it's just like the medical model, our American disease model with medications, or it's like any model with you take with even vitamins. We want instantaneous relief, we want instantaneous everything, but everything has a ripple effect. It takes change, it takes time, it takes a little bit every day. And what Priyanka is basically telling you, 5 minutes every day can change your life, but just stick to it. And I'm sure there's times in your life that, or times in that process where, you didn't take 5 minutes every single day. And, but yet you still came to the same conclusion. So can you tell everybody about some of the failures in that journey and how you picked up and restarted?
Yes. So, I always just try and do the best I can. I give myself realistic goals. So I'm not going to say, okay, every single day I have to do, my gratitude. Like I most days I try and do working out, gratitude, intention, meditation, but sometimes it just doesn't all happen. And I give myself grace for that, because it is what it is. Like when my baby was born, the meditation, I fell off the wagon because it was just so difficult. Like I just wanted to sleep if she was sleeping, or whatever. Like it was a very emergency kind of time. Like I wasn't in my routine, and actually I remember saying I need to get back to my routine because that's what helps me. But having realistic goals, knowing that, okay, I'll try for like 5 days a week. If I miss yesterday, start again today, and that's it. It's fine. Like over time you end up doing, I think, my meditation, I actually keep a record of it on my Headspace app, but I've done like 10,000 minutes of meditation since I started. But there have been days where I don't meditate, right? Or even working out. Like just do the best you can. It's a busy day, take a 5-minute walk. Fine. It's better than being sedentary and doing nothing. And so that's I think really important, to just give ourselves time and forgiveness. And especially, I think, of course, I specialize with moms, but postpartum for moms, like it took us 9 months to get whatever that body, it's going to take time to get it back, even if celebrities look like they never had a baby. Like that's just ridiculous. And so just giving ourselves time, space, grace, and kindness.
It's absolutely amazing. So I could go on and on with questions, but I wrapped up a lot of my questions within the questions that we had from individuals. I asked everybody to reach out to Dr. Prianca Naik for some life coaching tips and understanding mindfulness and meditation and how those processes combine. And they're much of the same process, and we don't need to separate it. Understand how you can maximize your life through the process of working with Dr. Prianca Naik, and make yourself feel as good as she does and live life with purpose. So thank you, Prianca, for coming on our platform and sharing all your wonderful tips. We hope to have you back in the future. We're going to be having multiple discussions on stress, mental health, and we ask our audience to reach out to us and continue to reach out to us with your feedback. Is there something that you want to hear about? Is there something that you want clarified? And do you want to hear back from Dr. Prianca Naik? We would love to have her back. What are the things that you're concerned about? Let us know, and we'll have it there for you. We're always here to assist you. So reach out if you need any assistance, and don't suffer alone, because there's so many people who you think have it all together, have all the pieces put in place, but it's just a facade sometimes, or sometimes it's just us putting up an act and us going through our daily lives, and everybody thinks that everybody else is doing better than them. So reach out, talk to us, talk to somebody like Dr. Prianca Naik, and get on the right track and live life more mindfully. And thank you here from Public Allies, again from Ontario, and you from, I'm going to forget it again, you're from
New York. From
New
I'm on Long
York. Oh my
Island.
God. I wanted to say New Jersey for some reason. So thank you
I
again.
used to live there. That's why.
There you go. There, maybe. Okay. Thank you again, everybody, for joining us. Bye.
Thanks for having me.